People always talk about passion, about chemistry, about how wild or adventurous things can get. But the truth is, none of that matters if there isn't one thing at the foundation: safety. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. And I don't mean safety in the boring, clinical sense. I mean the kind of deep trust that allows someone to let go, to be vulnerable, to surrender to the moment because they know they won't be judged, they won't be dismissed, and they won't be hurt. That's what creates real intensity. That's what takes an experience from surface level to something that lingers long after it's over. Think about it: when you don't feel safe, you hold back. You might smile, you might go along, but inside there's tension, there's a wall. And with that wall up, there's no way someone's going to let you in fully. But when someone feels like they can trust you, when they feel like they can just be, everything changes. That's when emotions get raw, that's when walls drop, and that's when experiences get powerful enough to bring tears. Safety isn't created with grand gestures, it's built in the little things. The way you listen when she's speaking, even when it's not about anything big. The way you make her feel like her thoughts matter, like her feelings are valid. The way you hold her not just because you want something from her, but because you genuinely want her to feel secure in your arms. Those small choices, repeated over and over, send a clear message: you're safe with me. And the moment she believes that, you've unlocked a different level of intimacy altogether. Let's be honest. Anyone can learn tricks, techniques, tips. That stuff's everywhere. But if you don't create that foundation of emotional security, none of it matters. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It won't stand. But when she feels safe with you, suddenly the smallest gestures have so much power. A touch on the hand, a glance across the room, a whispered word. Those things can hit harder than anything else because they're charged with trust. And it's not just about what you do in the moment. It's how you carry yourself outside of it, too. Do you keep your word? Do you respect her boundaries, even when they're inconvenient for you? Do you show up when you say you will? Every action outside the moment feeds into the trust inside the moment. Because she's watching, she's noticing, and if she sees that you're consistent, that you're reliable, that you care about her as a whole person, she relaxes. That relaxation is what opens the door to deeper experiences. There's another layer here too. Safety doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you have to have every answer or always get it right. It's about showing her that you're willing to listen, willing to adjust, willing to put her needs right alongside your own. It's about creating a space where she feels comfortable speaking up, knowing that she won't be shut down or made to feel silly. That's safety. And when she has that, when she feels she can bring her full self without fear, that's when she starts to let go in ways she didn't even know she could. What people don't realize is that emotional safety is what allows passion to actually breathe. It's what makes vulnerability not scary but exciting. It's what transforms a moment from something purely physical into something deeply human. And when that happens, when the trust is there, the connection gets so intense that it often surprises both people. That's when tears come, not out of sadness, but because the moment has touched something so real, so raw, so unguarded that emotions spill over. So if you want to know the secret behind making an experience unforgettable, start here. Start by being the person who makes her feel safe, who makes her feel seen, who makes her feel like she can step out of her armor and just exist fully with you. Because once that's there, everything else, every touch, every kiss, every look, it all gets magnified, it all goes deeper. And that's what stays with her. Not the tricks, not the surface level fireworks, but the feeling that with you, she could let go completely and be caught every single time. That's where it starts. That's where the real magic lies. You know what people get wrong all the time? They think passion is silent. They think it's all about looks, about moves, about reading some kind of secret signals. But the truth is, nothing kills connection faster than silence where there should be honesty, communication. Communication, real, open, vulnerable communication is not only powerful, it's unbelievably sexy. And yet, it's the thing so many people are afraid of. Why? Because talking means revealing yourself. It means showing your desires, your fears, your insecurities. It means admitting what you want and asking for what you need. That's scary for most people because there's always the risk of rejection. But here's the secret. When you step into that space and communicate, you don't weaken the moment. You deepen it. You don't ruin the magic. You create it. Think about the times you felt closest to someone. Was it when they guessed what you wanted and hoped they were right? Or was it when they looked you in the eyes and asked, "Tell me what you need. Tell me what feels good. Tell me how to make this moment unforgettable for you"? That's connection. That's intimacy. That's what transforms an encounter into something that stays with you long after. Communication doesn't always have to be heavy or serious either. Sometimes it's playful, sometimes it's teasing, sometimes it's whispered words that make the air between you electric. Other times, it's silence broken by a single question that cuts straight to the heart of the moment. It's about tuning into each other, responding, checking in, and making sure the connection flows both ways. Because nothing is sexier than someone who shows they care enough to listen. Let me tell you, listening is the unsung hero of intimacy. Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but actually listening, hearing not just the words, but the tone, the pauses, the things left unsaid. When you show her that you're really hearing her, that you're taking in what she's saying, you instantly set yourself apart. Because suddenly, she doesn't feel like she has to fight to be understood. She feels like she can relax, let her guard down, and that kind of openness is where the magic really begins. And let's flip it for a second, because it's not just about listening to her, it's about speaking up yourself. It's about letting her in on your own desires, your own truth, your own vulnerability. That's what makes it real. Too many people think being strong means keeping everything inside. But strength is honesty. Strength is saying, "This is what I feel. This is what I need. This is what I dream about." When you share that, you give her permission to do the same. And suddenly, you're not two people playing roles. You're two people building something real together. There's this misconception that communication ruins spontaneity. But that's not true at all. Communication doesn't kill mystery, it intensifies it. It builds anticipation. It sharpens the edge of the moment because both of you know you're heading into a space where nothing is left to assumption. Every step is intentional, every move is mutual. That's where the sparks really fly because neither of you is guessing, you're both co-creating the moment. And don't underestimate the simple things. A compliment at the right time can break down walls. A word of encouragement can change the whole energy. A question like, "Do you like this?" or "How do you want me to?" is not a weakness. It's an invitation. It tells her, your experience matters just as much as mine. And when she knows that, when she feels that her voice matters, the connection deepens in ways that nothing else can replicate. Here's the thing: people cry in moments of intimacy, not just because of the physical side, but because of the emotional release. And communication is the bridge to that release. It's the tool that makes someone feel safe enough to let emotions spill over. When you speak honestly, when you listen deeply, when you make space for her voice and her truth, you create an environment where she doesn't just feel wanted, she feels valued. And that's when she lets go. That's when she surrenders to the experience. That's when she feels so seen, so understood, so connected that the emotion just takes over. So if you want to know why communication is sexy, it's simple because it's the ultimate form of intimacy. It's the one thing that takes everything else and multiplies it by 10. Looks fade, tricks get old, but words go straight to the soul. And when you can touch the soul, everything else follows. That's the kind of connection that doesn't just satisfy for a moment. It stays, it echoes, it leaves a mark that she'll never forget. One of the biggest lies people believe is that it's all about performance. They think it's about putting on a show, proving something, hitting every move like it's some kind of routine that needs to be perfected. But the truth is, when you're focused on performing, you're not actually there. You're in your head, you're checking off boxes, you're worrying about whether you're good enough or whether she's impressed. And the moment you slip into that mindset, the connection is gone. Presence is what makes the difference. Being fully there in the moment, undistracted, tuned in, not thinking about how you look or whether you're doing it right. But actually feeling what's happening, actually noticing her, actually letting yourself experience it too. That's what creates real electricity. Performance might look good, but presence feels good. And that's what she's going to remember. Think about it this way. If you're performing, you're trying to control the outcome. You're trying to manage her reaction, trying to impress, trying to prove. But when you're present, you're not controlling anything. You're responding. You're in sync. You're reading her body, her breathing, her energy, and you're adjusting naturally without overthinking it. That's when the moment becomes alive instead of mechanical. And presence is rare. We live in a world of distractions, phones buzzing, thoughts racing, endless to-do lists running in the background. Most people don't know what it's like to have someone's undivided attention anymore. So when you give that, when you shut out everything else and make it clear that right now she's the only thing in your world, it hits differently. It tells her she matters. It tells her she's not just another moment you're rushing through. She's the moment. And that changes everything. Presence also means slowing down enough to actually feel instead of racing to the finish line. When you're rushing, you're thinking about the end, about the result. But when you're present, every step is the destination. You notice the details you'd normally miss. The way her breath changes, the way her body shifts, the way her eyes soften when she feels seen. Those details are where the real connection lies, and they only reveal themselves when you're paying attention. There's also a vulnerability in presence. Because when you drop the performance, you drop the mask. You're not hiding behind rehearsed moves or a polished exterior. You're showing up raw, imperfect, and real. And that's scary for some people, but it's also magnetic, because presence says, I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm here as me, and I'm here with you. That's the kind of honesty that cuts through everything and creates a moment worth remembering. And let me tell you, presence doesn't just affect her, it affects you too. When you let go of the pressure to perform, you actually start enjoying the experience more yourself. You're not up in your head, you're in your body. You're not judging yourself, you're feeling. And when you're feeling, you naturally give more because you're no longer acting, you're connecting. That's when intimacy feels effortless, because it stops being a task and starts being an experience you're sharing together. You might think performance shows confidence, but presence is the real confidence. Because presence says, I don't need to prove anything. I'm here, and that's enough. And when she feels that calm certainty radiating from you, it makes her relax too. It makes her feel like she doesn't have to perform either, that she doesn't have to pretend or hold back. She can just be. And when two people drop the act and show up fully, that's when the moment becomes unforgettable. The irony is, when you stop focusing on performing and start focusing on being present, you actually end up creating the kind of experiences most people chase their whole lives. Because presence is what makes the ordinary extraordinary. A simple touch, when given with presence, can feel electric. A glance, when delivered with presence, can say more than 1,000 rehearsed lines. It's not about how much you do, it's about how deeply you do it. That's the real secret. Not how impressive you can be, not how much you can prove, but how present you're willing to become. Because presence is what transforms an interaction into connection, and connection into something so powerful that it lingers long after the moment has passed. That's the difference between being remembered for a night and being remembered for a lifetime. We live in a world that's obsessed with speed. Everything has to be instant fast food, fast scrolling, fast results. And that mindset has bled into intimacy too. People rush, they cut corners, they think faster means better. And in doing so, they rob themselves and their partner of the very thing that makes the moment unforgettable. The truth is, depth never comes from speed. Depth comes from slowing down. When you slow down, you shift the focus from the destination to the journey. Suddenly, it's not about getting somewhere quickly, it's about experiencing everything along the way. And the moment you do that, the entire energy changes. The air feels different. The anticipation builds. Even the smallest touch feels magnified because you're not racing past it. You're savoring it. Rushing kills intensity. It makes everything feel mechanical, predictable, flat. But slowing down makes everything alive. It makes the experience breathe. It makes her wonder what's coming next because you're not giving it all away at once. You're letting it unfold like a story, one page at a time, each moment feeding into the next. That's what creates suspense, and suspense is one of the most powerful forces in intimacy. Think about it when you take your time. You allow space for curiosity. You allow her to anticipate, to lean in, to feel the rise of energy instead of being thrown into it all at once. That anticipation is what makes the moment feel bigger, what makes it feel overwhelming, what makes it last in her memory. Because she's not just experiencing it, she's waiting for it, craving it, being drawn deeper into it before it even happens. Slowing down also shows control. It shows that you're not desperate, you're not rushing, you're not trying to get it over with. You're choosing to take your time because you want to make it meaningful. And that choice alone makes the experience feel more deliberate, more intentional. It tells her, without a single word, I'm here to enjoy every second with you, not just the ending. That message is powerful, and it's felt on a level words can't fully capture. And here's the other thing: when you slow down, you start noticing the details you would have missed otherwise. The way her breathing changes, the way her eyes soften, the way her body responds in tiny shifts. Those details are like a map. They tell you where the connection is strongest, where the moment is building, where to lean in and where to hold back. But if you rush, you miss all of it. You bulldoze past the signals, and the chance for deeper connection slips away. Slowing down also gives space for emotion. When you're rushing, there's no time for feelings to surface. Everything is about moving forward. But when you slow it down, you give her the chance to actually feel what's happening, to process it, to sink into it, to let the emotion rise. That's when moments stop being purely physical and start becoming emotional. And when the emotional layer comes in, that's when it becomes powerful enough to move her to tears. A lot of people underestimate the power of stillness. Sometimes the most electric thing you can do is pause. Hold eye contact, breathe together, let the silence stretch until it's almost unbearable, then let it break with the smallest gesture. Those pauses carry weight. They make the next move hit 10 times harder because it doesn't come too soon. It comes when the tension has built to the point where it's irresistible. And slowing down doesn't mean dragging things out without purpose. It's not about stalling. It's about intention. It's about making every move matter. Making every choice deliberate, making every moment something she can actually feel instead of something she just passes through. That's the art of it. Not rushing, not dragging, but pacing, letting the energy rise, then holding it, then letting it rise again. That's how you create intensity that doesn't fade but keeps building. Because here's the truth: the moments we remember most in life are rarely the ones that flew by. They're the ones that made us stop, the ones where time seemed to slow, the ones that felt so present that they became etched in memory. That's exactly what happens when you slow down in intimacy. You stop time, you stretch it, you make the experience feel bigger than the moment itself. And when she looks back, what she'll remember won't be how quickly it all happened. She'll remember how it felt to be fully seen, fully felt, fully experienced in every detail. She'll remember that you weren't rushing, that you weren't somewhere else in your head, but that you were right there with her, letting the moment breathe. That's the kind of experience that lingers. That's the kind of experience that touches her so deeply it can bring her to tears. That's why slowing down isn't just a choice. It's the secret to making the moment unforgettable. So far, I've talked about safety, communication, presence, slowing down. All of these are powerful on their own. But the real magic happens when you bring them together, when the emotional side and the physical side stop being separate and start working as one. That's the point where the experience moves beyond pleasure and into something unforgettable. Because physical connection without emotion can feel empty, and emotional connection without physical expression can feel incomplete. But when the two meet, when they fuse together, that's when the moment becomes something that leaves a mark on the soul. Most people lean too heavily in one direction. Some focus only on the physical, thinking that techniques, timing, and performance are enough. They can create excitement, sure, but it fades quickly because it doesn't touch the heart. Others focus only on the emotional, relying on affection, care, and words, but never letting that energy express itself physically. That can feel warm, but it often leaves something missing too. The real power is when you can blend both, when the body and the heart are speaking the same language at the same time. That's where the tears come, not from pain, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming flood of being touched on every level at once. When you connect emotionally, you make her feel safe, valued, cherished. You make her feel like she matters beyond just the moment. When you connect physically, you make her feel desired, wanted, and alive. But when you combine those two, she feels both cherished and desired. She feels like she's not just loved for who she is, but longed for in every way possible. And that combination is rare. That combination is what makes her body respond and her heart overflow. It's in the little things. It's in the way you touch her, but also look into her eyes while you do. It's in the way you whisper not just words of desire, but words of reassurance. It's in the way you're attentive to her body's reactions while also listening to her voice and her breathing. It's this layering of signals, physical and emotional, that makes the moment so powerful. Because then she's not only feeling it in her body, she's also feeling it in her heart, in her mind, in her soul. And don't underestimate the power of words here. A simple, "you're beautiful" at the right time can make her feel seen. A gentle, "I've got you," can make her feel safe enough to let go. A playful tease can make her laugh and release tension. Words carry energy, and when they're paired with physical connection, they take everything deeper. It's not about talking nonstop. It's about weaving words in where they amplify the connection, where they remind her she's more than a body. She's a person you're fully present with. The physical is what ignites the fire, but the emotional is what keeps it burning. Together, they don't just add to each other, they multiply each other. Without the emotional layer, the physical fades quickly. Without the physical, the emotional feels unfulfilled, but together they create something that expands beyond the moment itself. That's why when you get it right, she won't just walk away thinking about the experience. She'll feel it lingering inside her, replaying in her memory, touching her again and again long after it's over. This balance also makes the experience uniquely yours. Anyone can touch her body. Anyone can say sweet words, but not everyone can make her feel both at once in a way that feels authentic, in a way that feels real. When you give her both the fire and the tenderness, both the passion and the care, she'll remember it not because it was flashy, but because it was whole, because it reached her on every level. Because it reminded her that she's not just someone you want, she's someone you feel. And here's the secret. You don't need to be perfect to do this. You don't need flawless words or flawless moves. You just need to show up fully with intention, with attention, with heart. You need to care enough to notice when to push forward and when to slow down, when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to touch softly and when to go deeper. It's that dance between emotion and sensation that makes it unforgettable. When those two worlds meet, when she feels the physical desire and the emotional safety at the same time, that's when the intensity becomes overwhelming. That's when it bypasses the mind and goes straight into her soul. That's when the tears come, not because she's sad, not because she's hurt, but because she's been touched in a way that feels so real, so deep, so undeniable that her body has no choice but to release it. That's the lasting impact. That's the kind of moment she'll never forget. Most people think the moment ends when the passion fades, but that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Because what happens after, the way you hold her, the way you speak to her, the way you make her feel when the intensity has passed, is just as important as everything that came before. That's what aftercare is about. It's not complicated, it's not flashy, but it's the secret to making the experience linger, to making her feel not just satisfied, but treasured. Think about it. When emotions run high, when walls come down, when the experience is powerful enough to move someone to tears, they're left in a vulnerable state. Their heart is open, their guard is gone, their emotions are raw. That's not the time to pull away, roll over, or act like it's finished. That's the time to lean in closer, to remind her with every gesture that she's safe, that she's cared for, that the moment didn't just mean something in the heat. It means something after, too. Aftercare is what separates a fleeting experience from a lasting memory. Anyone can create physical excitement, but not everyone can create emotional security once it's over. And that's what leaves the mark. That's what makes her trust you, crave you, want to return to that connection again and again. Because she doesn't just remember the passion. She remembers how she felt when it was done. And it doesn't take much. It can be as simple as holding her, brushing her hair back, letting her rest on your chest while your breathing slows together. It can be soft words, a gentle kiss, a touch on her hand, even a laugh to break the tension and bring her back to the present. These small things speak volumes. They say, "I'm still here. I still see you. You matter to me even now." And that's what makes the experience whole. Here's the truth without aftercare. Even the most intense experience can feel hollow. She may feel used or empty or uncertain, even if the physical side was incredible. But with aftercare, even the simplest moment can feel profound because it shows continuity. It shows that the connection wasn't just about what you could take, It was about what you could give. And don't underestimate how much trust you build in these moments. When you stay present after, when you don't rush to get up, when you don't break the bond too quickly, you're telling her without words that her heart matters as much as her body. That message goes deeper than any physical act ever could. It makes her feel valued as a whole person. And that's what opens the door to even deeper intimacy in the future. Aftercare is also where gratitude lives. It's where you show her not with grand gestures, but with quiet presence, that you're grateful for her, grateful for the moment, grateful for the connection you shared. That gratitude doesn't have to be spoken in long speeches. It can be in a simple, "That was amazing," or "I love being with you," or even just silence filled with closeness. Gratitude doesn't need words. It needs sincerity. And she'll feel it. When you think about it, aftercare is really the glue that holds everything together. Safety, communication, presence, slowing down emotional and physical connection, they all lead to this. They all set the stage for what happens after. And when you honor that stage, when you take care of it, when you protect it, you elevate the entire experience from something temporary to something timeless. Because long after the details fade, she won't remember every move, every word, every second. But she will remember how she felt when it was over. Did she feel cherished? Did she feel held? Did she feel like she mattered? If the answer is yes, then the memory will stay with her. It will echo. It will replay in her heart as something rare, something she can't forget. And that's the hidden key. The moment doesn't end when the passion does. The moment ends when she feels complete,